Here we are again, back at the beach. My name is Mark Strauch. I'm here with the wonderful Ayana Lahi, the founder and creative director and chief evolutionary officer of Spirit Gateways Institute. And in one of our last episodes, we left off talking about the ego operating system and the true self operating system and this program that you've developed called the 21st Century Liberation Roadmap that takes you from ego to true self. So let's unpack that.
Okay, that's great. Okay, that's wonderful. We all have an inner wound. We have traumas and upsets that happen through feeling betrayed. I call it ABR. It's abandoned, betrayed, rejected. And we are biological beings. And plants grow, they wither, they can die, or they can really prosper. And as a human being, we need love, acceptance, nurturance. We need to be able to discover our own reality within ourselves, and we need to know that we're safe. And the ego operating system begins at a very young age when we have felt unsafe. Somehow we have felt the expectations, the projections put upon us to be a certain way. Maybe we're there to make mom feel better about herself or dad, or we find out that we have to behave a certain way but we don't know how to. And oftentimes we are given something that we need to do as a little kid, and we believe we can't quite do it. Something is put at us, on us, that feels too much. So deep within ourselves, from within the psyche, which is down in our lower bellies, in our source of power, in our belly, this part of ourself comes up and says, I can do it. I'll show up. I'll handle this, while the rest of our being might be feeling afraid. The ego operating system usually begins from fear, and it can happen through a traumatic experience in utero. It could happen at birth. It could happen at age 2 or 4 or 6. It could happen at 9 or whatever age it is for each person. But that's not something a person needs to know to succeed with the Spirit Gateways journey, with the experience, because from the beginning of working in the Spirit Gateways 21st Century Liberation Roadmap, you're brought into a new relationship with the part of yourself that was left behind, forgotten. It was ABR'd, abandoned, betrayed, rejected by yourself out of the need to survive. And out of that need to survive, make it through physically, psychologically, emotionally, we create the ego that now goes, wow, I can do this. I'm making everybody satisfied with me. I'm fulfilling the requirements that are needed. But we lose the connection to what we've left. And when people make that first awakening into what was left behind in themselves, there's a moment of cathartic feeling that comes up, ranging from joy to overwhelming grief of, oh wow, I left myself and this is me and I'm coming back to me. The coming back to oneself is where we start in all of the work. And the work is to experience joy. And in our culture, we acclimate that we work hard, but it doesn't necessarily bring joy unless there's financial success. But then the financial happiness doesn't necessarily bring relationship joy and inner awareness and fulfillment and creative abundance and joy and sensual freedom and expression. We compartmentalize our life. And so one of the outcomes that's really immediate with Spirit Gateways is finding and being in that joy. And that was prompted by an earlier experience, a moment in my life. I was on stage in a dance piece I choreographed. It was a solo piece. And I was looking out at the audience. And I saw how serious everybody was. And I was living and being connected into a state of joy in the moment. And in that split second, my thought was, I want everyone to feel the joy that I feel right now. And a few years later, through the experiences I shared in the other interview that we did, moving through awakening energetically, beginning to feel deeply in my body, understanding the science of how energy works, and then I took that into exploring and understanding the science of how spirit and the body meet, and where God and the body meet. And that's like such an amazingly powerful experience for me to share. So the joy is a really big piece for me, because when we heal, we can experience greater joy, greater pleasure, greater happiness as being the place that we live from in our life. And so any fear of going through the barriers that we've created in the ego operating system melt away, because the feeling of being so alive and awakened is so satisfactory.
So you use the word healing. What does that have to do with ego and true self and this path that you're on called the Liberation Roadmap? How does that all work together?
Healing is needed as a way of mending the split within us when we're wounded, when we go through the inner abandonment, betrayal, rejection, when we experience having somebody else abandon us, betray us, reject us. We split from the core true self. And that split, there's a gap. That gap is experienced many, many ways. There's no right way to experience yourself. The gap is felt as self-criticism, self-judgment. We experience it as humiliation. We experience shame living in that gap, because we're separate from ourselves and we can't access the fullness, the true power that is inside of us. And the true power is what blasts us through our own limitations that we have created. And true power is really love. It's living in a state of love. But true love is power, and true power is true love. And that was the beginning of Spirit Gateways. It's the union of love and power. And that love and power lives within sight of ourselves.
Wow. So that's a whole other conversation. This love and power thing is we all go through it in our life, even if we don't necessarily think of power in the context of love. So here's my question. You talked about the Liberation Roadmap. That's part of Spirit Gateways that you've developed. What's the practical aspect of that? How does someone who wants to engage with Spirit Gateways work? How do they do that?
The practical way of coming in is to go to my website, iyanalahi.com, IANALAHI.com, and subscribe. And what you get is an intro book, and you receive a 52-week free video course delivered into your inbox every Saturday morning that's got a teaching, a movement, and a meditation. And you can get going through becoming a part of Tribe Transformation, which is a group mentoring experience, or opt for one-on-one mentoring in True Self Mentoring. So there's 2 ways of entering into the Spirit Gateways Institute at this time. It's through the group mentoring or through the one-on-one mentoring. And then down the road, for people who have really stepped through their own doorway, usually it takes a little bit of moving through resistance and wondering if this work is like the real deal, which I know it is, and that's been my priority, is to always seek the essence and the truth of what's really, really real. There'll be professional trainings down the road.
So you said something, you talked about the 52-week introductory course, which was for free. I think I remember it being called the...
Living from Your Wild Heart.
Ah, wonderful. Okay, and you said 3 things. It has knowledge or wisdom, it has meditation, and it has movement. And so those are 3 really integral parts of what you're talking about. And what I'm hearing is that those 3 components, which we should unpack at some point and really talk in more detail, because both of those, all 3 of those things have very specific origin stories, right? The wisdom teachings have a specific, they emerge from a certain place, and the meditation practice that you teach is also emerged from a particular place. And the movement practice obviously goes back to your experience in early training with dance and everything else.
It also goes into letting go of all the dance technique and finding the original connection to source in my body, and being able to translate it through the energy currents in the body. So the movement is very connected to the way energy moves in the body.
So what I'm hearing, though, is that you've created something that's very holistic. It's very integrated.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm going to learn with my mind, and then I'm going to go off and meditate someplace, and then I'm going to go and move on the beach. It's an integrated system that takes all 3 of those components and puts it together in a holistic way.
Yeah. It's also very safe. There's a lot of systems that I went through. I don't ever teach anything unless I personally have gone through it. So my life has been my own scientific experimentation of going for it and wanting to experience the source within side of myself. And then over the last 45 years working with so many thousands of people, helping them. So that was the years of experiencing what was really working. And there's just the aspects, they're so many crucial points that were revelations for me that are universal, that all people go through. It doesn't matter what background, if you come from being a billionaire, if you come from having a homeless parent, or you have had an alcohol problem, or you're using plant medicine, or you are trying to break through altering your mind in new ways. And it doesn't matter what you've been doing, because when you enter into the true source within yourself, you can move through anything. And so the ego operating system, swinging back around to that, is the mending of your wounds from the perspective of the light. In none of the Spirit Gateways Institute experiences where you find yourself emotionally lost, emotionally out of control. I went through that decades ago of going through the emoting, like the big releases, and it can take a person out of balance, where the emotional body then is now so blasted open that there isn't a way to bring it back into living your practical life. And I'm really into keeping a person, the experience itself balances you so that you can live and function in your daily life, but with a new awareness. There's always an integration happening through the meditation. It's called Be Light meditation, and the Love to Be the Movement experience, and the inner teachings that keep you in balance, keep you whole, and help your mind and your emotions and your soul work together in a conscious new way that becomes effortless after a while, and you find all new ideas, all new ways of living, implementing in your work, moving your business forward, moving your life forward, opening in your relationship, becoming a better parent, a better leader, just a healthier person overall.
So explain to me a little bit about tribe transformation, because there are two components of it that we've spoken about. You mentioned one, which is the group mentoring, but then there's also a whole library of audio and video courses. So explain how those work together and why the group mentoring is an important component of all that.
I created the group mentoring in order for people to hear each other and to be present with other individuals who are also wanting to awaken through some of the challenges in their own psyche. For each and every person, it's different, whether it's ranging from money needs and wanting to structure your company in a different way, to health issues, to relationship, to sensuality, sexuality, greater clarity, how to live in this world that has immense challenges right now of duality and separation. So the tribe transformation is created to learn principles, healing secrets, tools to move through your old operating system and enter into that place of greater peace and integrated aliveness. And for each and every person, it feels different. You might feel more tranquil. You might feel so energized and inspired. It depends on where you are, what you need. And the Spirit Gateways Library is it's an action of great love and dedication. I love sharing and teaching the core information needed, like how to move through an operating system in yourself that doesn't work, how to work with money from a place of connection into your infinite source, how to deal with the fact that your mother wasn't available, or your father was working so hard, or your parents couldn't love each other, and how it affected you into your deepest needs and desires. You're learning through the Spirit Gateways Library all the aspects of yourself. And so I'm creating courses, and they'll just be rolling out there for the next few years. There's already a lot of Deepenings mini courses and a few Deepenings courses, and there'll be 3 total signature courses, and right now there's 2 that are completed. Those signature courses teach the inside core principles, concepts, experiences. I'm so experiential. So this is really for a person who goes, yeah, I don't want to just be told the information, and I don't want to just sit and do a meditation practice and hope that it's going to have a result. I want to get in there, and I want to open, be able to integrate it, know who I am, and move my life in a whole higher octave. And that's what Spirit Gateways does. So the library's got audio teachings through MP3s, and there's video that some of the courses are 3 hours, maybe some of them are longer, but you take them at your own pace, and so that you absorb the information. I highly suggest when you start a course, finish the course, because it's going to take you from A to Z. I'm really into the A to Z. I'm starting you in one place, and bringing you right through so that you have an aha moment. And the aha moments are a really big part of the full roadmap, the 21st century liberation roadmap. So you aha your life.
So how do people track their own progress? Is there a way that they do that?
Well, that's part of the group experience, but the workbook that comes with the Evolutionary Empowerment Global Village is the overall structure that you come into when you subscribe on my website. And you're now part of this global village, and how you engage and interact with it is up to you. Yes, you can enter into the tribe transformation or the true self mentoring. There's different levels for how deeply you want to immerse yourself, and I want to give all of the participants and interested individuals the opportunity to not feel locked in, but to know that the information is here. I'm wanting to deeply give this information and also be able to give you fine-tuned attention. And I know that as a mentor that I listen moment to moment within myself to the source that's become refined in myself, and that was my initial desire all the way back to choreography 50 years ago, in a darkened studio, so I could experience what it feels like to have source move through me. So whatever gift that you have, a person has within inside of yourself is opened. Your gifts are enhanced, and that's part of how I've integrated being a creative being and wanting every individual to experience a heightened new level of creativity. So whatever that latent gift is inside yourself, it's going to grow, and it's going to feel anchored, supported, and that's part of the group mentoring. There's smaller group mentorings that happen in tribe transformation. There's 3 tiers to choose from that are right there on the homepage of the website, and you can engage in a larger group mentoring, and you can also then get more personalized attention in smaller group mentoring and one-on-one.
So I'm going to ask a different question now.
Yeah.
Because this is, we live in a very, there's no Chinese proverb that says maybe less to live in interesting times, right? And that cuts both ways, right? And we live in very interesting times right now with a lot of confusion.
Yeah.
Men and women, gender roles, sexuality. We've all heard these things about for men to embrace their divine masculine and their divine feminine.
Yes.
And we've heard the same thing for women. And for many of us, we're clueless. When a man hears that, and from a woman, and we go, what are you talking about? We don't really understand that. So do you talk about divine masculine and divine feminine in any way? How do you look at that in what you do with spirit guides?
Probing, exploring, journeying, embodying the true divine masculine and divine feminine and unifying them are a major part of the Spirit Gateway's journey and experience. And that was one of the initial impetus for creating the work that is here now. I was teaching divine masculine, divine feminine probably before it really hit mainstream. And I found it to be core because the divine masculine, divine feminine is what makes up your soul, and your soul is the spark of God within you. And your soul is what comes into this body at birth. It moves your life if you're listening to it, and that's part of the opening that happens here, is where you align, you reconnect with your soul instead of the intellect head, and you make a dramatic shift, big shift that happens inside of yourself. So everyone has a social masculine, a social feminine, And both men and women have within them, like you shared, both qualities. And so your social masculine and social feminine oftentimes is very different than your sacred divine masculine feminine, which exists already inside of you. Everything that you experience in spirit gateways already exists inside of you. And sometimes we need to pull it in, from where it's split off. You allowed it to split off so that no one could see you, that you wouldn't be hurt, that your light wouldn't be too much. This work is really great for people who really feel that calling to come out of where they are. They know they're here for some reason. You don't need to know why to come in to spirit gateways, because you'll find out. And if you know why you're here, you're going to be able to unveil and unlock all the doors that are blocking you from coming forth, from awakening your life force energies, your sexual energies, your spiritual wisdom that comes in with your soul, to being aligned to living your life through what your feminine masculine unified can create. When I found my inner masculine, it was breathtaking. I mean, he was so beautiful, and he was there to support and build me, the divine feminine, that when I found her, I experienced myself through eternity, through beyond just a past life remembrance, but who am I on a creation level. So our divine masculine supports the creation that is in ourself. It supports and holds space, focuses, directs. It helps to build the platform for the power, the wisdom, the love of the feminine within inside of ourselves to emerge. So this part of the Spirit Gateways is so important for these times, because we're at a pinnacle of both the false masculine and false feminine being expressed in our external social, economic, political, etc. economic arenas, where the ways of thinking that are out of balance with the initial core source of light, where dark is the dark, the unawakened God part of ourself is awakened through the light within ourself. And that is the deeper experience that happens in the Spirit Gateways journey in the 21st century liberation roadmap. You are awakened into your whole and true self through becoming one with the light that you already are. And the light gets bigger and stronger and brighter, and you're taught how to transform. It's an alchemy process. It is turning, bronze into gold, lead into gold. Each soul, each of you is an amazing hunk of gold. You are a diamond. And to open and remember to embody that is what I'm here to help people experience and realize, so that no matter how tough and rough times are right now on the planet, there is a new budding seed. The seed is going to sprout, and there's a lot of forces on the inner planes that are working to crunch the growth, and for people to give up and to feel hopeless and helpless and to feel like victims. And there's such a misuse of power that Spirit Gateways is truly dedicated to helping each individual, and hopefully tens of thousands of individuals, if not millions of all of you, who know and feel that you want to break through and are seeking some form of breakthrough from your ancestry, from your past life patterns, the childhood structures, the inner wounds that we all carry and all have had to heal. And yes, I have had to, and I've spent the needed time at different cycles in my life really facing the wounds I carried in from my family of ancestry, from my past lives. It has to do with who we believe we are. And you will shift your belief of who you are through and in the Spirit Gateways 21st Century Liberation Roadmap, through the Spirit Gateways work.
So, wow, we've unpacked a lot today, and there's a lot more to unpack. I mean, I heard the word inner work, I heard the word empowerment, I heard the words divine masculine and divine feminine, both sacred. I've heard the internal, I've heard the external, I've heard the processes by which you work with. We've covered a lot in a brief period of time. Why don't we wrap it up right now and prepare for the next episode?
Sounds good.
Where we'll maybe go into more about what you talk about, ABR, your abandonment, betrayal, and rejection, or we'll talk more about divine masculine and feminine. And all of this, to me, when I hear you talk, all of this is about empowering yourself, and not just like so much of what passes for inner work these days. I look at it and I go, oh, it's kind of like it's just sort of attached to you, like it comes from the outside. And when I keep hearing everything you're saying is, no, it comes all from the inside. It all comes from God's source. It all comes from creative source. And, we didn't even talk about past lives today. You mentioned it once or twice in passing. So that's a whole other area to unpack. So
we find ourselves to lose ourselves, and then to find a greater self.
Okay, that sounds very philosophical. I want to unpack that, make it practical and tangible.
And it's fun along the way because you're feeling like your life is really happening.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. So everybody, thank you for listening today. Another extraordinary episode of Spirit Gateways Inquiry with Ayanna Lahi, founder and creative director and chief evolutionary officer of the Spirit Gateways Institute. And as always, if you want more information, go to ayannalahi.com, IANALAHI.com. You can find whatever you want there about the programs and everything that Ayanna is talking about. All of the courses, Tribe Transformation, as well as True Self-Mentoring, which is the one-on-one mentoring program, as well as specialty courses that she always has in development. So thanks very much. Look forward to you next time. Thank you.